In the heart of the world's most remote forests and rugged highlands, where mist lingers over ancient trees and the wilderness remains untouched, a secretive beauty moves unseen. The birds of the Galliformes order, pheasants, partridges, snowcocks, and more, captivate with their stunning plumage and quiet resilience, standing as timeless symbols of mystery and survival. From the icy cliffs of the Himalayas to the dense jungles of Southeast Asia, each species tells a story of endurance, adaptation, and the fragile dance between nature and time. In the journey ahead, we'll unveil 30 of these magnificent creatures, each a masterpiece of evolution, inviting you to marvel at their beauty and the wild realms they call home. Golden pheasant, Chrysolophus pictus. The golden pheasant, native to the dense forests and mountainous regions of central and southwestern China, is a bird of unparalleled beauty and mystique. While primarily found in its homeland, this stunning species has also been introduced to various parts of the world, thriving in parks and estates where it continues to captivate bird enthusiasts. With a total length ranging from 90 to 105 centimeters, the male boasts an elongated tail that makes up nearly 2/3 of its body. The female, though smaller at 60 to 80 centimeters, is built for survival rather than spectacle, blending seamlessly into the underbrush with her subdued brown plumage. Despite their terrestrial nature, these birds are agile and swift, preferring to run rather than fly when faced with danger. The male golden pheasant is a true marvel of color, as if hand-painted by nature itself. Its crest and cape are a brilliant golden yellow, cascading down the back like liquid sunlight, while the body shimmers with a mix of deep crimson, iridescent blue, and emerald green. The long, elegantly patterned tail adds to its royal demeanor, making it one of the most visually striking birds in the world. During the mating season, the male puts on a mesmerizing display, fanning out its golden cape and moving rhythmically in a calculated dance to impress potential mates. Accompanied by subtle vocalizations and soft wing vibrations, this courtship ritual is a spectacle of grace and determination. If the female is intrigued, she responds with delicate, approving gestures, marking the beginning of their seasonal bond. Once a mate is chosen, the female takes on the responsibility of nesting, carefully selecting a hidden spot within thick foliage to lay her 5 to 12 eggs. The incubation period lasts about 22 to 23 days, during which she rarely strays far from her clutch, ensuring their warmth and safety. Once hatched, the chicks are precocial, meaning they leave the nest quickly and begin foraging under their mother's watchful eye. In just a few months, they grow independent, embarking on their own journey through the wilderness. The life cycle of the golden pheasant is a breathtaking testament to nature's balance, where survival, beauty, and instinct harmoniously intertwine in one of the world's most exquisite bird species. Reeves's pheasant, Cermaticus reevesi. Native to the forests and mountainous regions of central and eastern China, the Reeves's pheasant is a bird of striking grandeur, known for its incredible size and regal appearance. Named after British naturalist John Reeves, who introduced it to Europe in the 19th century, this species thrives in dense woodlands and bamboo groves. The male is among the longest pheasants in the world, reaching an astonishing 2 to 2.4 meters in length, with a tail that alone can grow up to 1.5 meters, 59 inches. The female, though significantly smaller at around 75 centimeters, 30 inches, is built for survival, her earthy brown plumage allowing her to blend seamlessly into the undergrowth. Despite their large size, these birds are swift runners, relying more on their strong legs than their wings to escape predators. The male Reeves's pheasant is a breathtaking spectacle of gold, black, and white, with a bold black and white mask accentuating its fierce gaze. Its shimmering golden plumage, contrasted with a delicately patterned tail, makes it one of the most visually striking birds in the world. Unlike other pheasants that rely on elaborate dances, the Reeves' pheasant takes a commanding approach to courtship. The male fans out his long tail and emits deep, resonant calls that echo through the forest, asserting his dominance and attracting potential mates. This display is a mesmerizing blend of strength and elegance, a ritual that embodies both power and beauty. Once the breeding season begins, the Reeves' pheasant enters a phase of heightened vigilance and activity. Males become more territorial, patrolling their domain with confidence, their long tails trailing like banners of royalty. Their deep, resonant calls serve as both a challenge to rivals and a signal to nearby females. Pairs establish strong seasonal bonds, moving together through the undergrowth in search of food and shelter. As the seasons change, young pheasants gradually mature, their once muted feathers transforming into the dazzling gold and black patterns of adulthood. With each generation, the Reeves' pheasant continues its legacy, an enduring symbol of power and elegance, thriving in the ancient forests where its kind has roamed for centuries. Himalayan Monal, Lophophorus impejanus. Nestled in the high-altitude forests and alpine meadows of the Himalayas, the Himalayan Monal is a bird that seems sculpted from the very essence of the mountains it inhabits. Found across Nepal, India, Bhutan, and Tibet, this stunning species thrives at elevations between 2,500 to 5,000 meters, 8,200 to 16,400 feet, often seen gracefully navigating steep, snow-covered slopes. As the national bird of Nepal, the monal holds a special place in both culture and nature, symbolizing beauty and resilience. The male measures around 70 centimeters, 28 inches, in length, while the more subtly colored female is slightly smaller, perfectly adapted for camouflage against rocky terrain. Despite their size, monals are agile and powerful flyers, capable of swift takeoffs from rugged cliffs when startled. The male Himalayan monal is an explosion of iridescent colors, shimmering in hues of metallic green, turquoise, copper, and deep sapphire blue, reminiscent of the shifting lights of a dawn-lit glacier. Its striking crest, a radiant bronze gold, adds a regal touch, making it one of the most visually captivating pheasants in the world. The female, though lacking the male's vibrant display, possesses her own understated beauty with warm brown plumage streaked with black, allowing her to blend seamlessly into the rocky landscape. During courtship, the male performs an elegant display, bobbing his head and fanning his feathers while producing soft, melodic calls that echo through the mountain valleys. This ritual is a delicate dance of color and movement, meant to enchant the female amidst the grandeur of the Himalayas. When breeding season arrives, the female meticulously selects a secluded spot, often near tree roots or under rocky outcrops, to lay 3 to 5 eggs. She incubates them for around 27 days, relying on her camouflaged plumage to remain undetected by predators. Once hatched, the chicks quickly adapt to their rugged environment, learning to forage for seeds, roots, and insects under their mother's guidance. As they mature, young males gradually develop their dazzling plumage, a transformation that marks their journey toward adulthood. Crested Argus, Rhinaria ocellata. Deep within the dense, mist-laden forests of Vietnam, Laos, and Malaysia, the crested argus remains one of the most elusive and mysterious pheasants in the world. Preferring the secluded undergrowth of lowland and montane rainforests, this rare species is a master of camouflage, rarely seen in the open. Unlike other pheasants, it possesses a slender, elongated body, measuring 190 to 235 centimeters, 75 to 93 inches, in total length, with the majority of this coming from its extraordinary tail. The female is significantly smaller, yet both sexes share an elegant, elongated crest that lends them an air of quiet majesty. Despite their large size, Crested arguses are terrestrial birds, relying on their powerful legs to navigate the thick forest floor rather than taking to the skies. The male crested argus is a living tapestry of intricate patterns, with a plumage that appears almost surreal in its artistry. Its body is covered in earthy brown feathers, speckled with mesmerizing ocelli, eye spots, each resembling an elaborate mosaic. However, the true spectacle lies in its elongated tail, which features massive iridescent eye spots set against a background of soft, muted tones, creating an otherworldly effect. The female, though less adorned, is beautifully patterned in shades of brown and buff, allowing her to vanish into the forest floor like a ghost. During courtship, the male performs a spellbinding display, raising his enormous tail into a fan-like arc, each eye spot catching the dim jungle light like a collection of gleaming orbs. With slow, deliberate movements, he encircles the female, his rhythmic calls resonating through the forest, creating a scene of haunting beauty. Once a pair has bonded, they move together through the dense undergrowth, navigating the forest with a quiet yet deliberate grace. The female remains cautious, blending seamlessly into the foliage, while the male stands watch, his keen eyes scanning for potential threats. As the seasons shift, the birds adapt to their surroundings, foraging for seeds, fruits, and small invertebrates hidden beneath the forest floor. Their presence is subtle, yet commanding, a reminder of the timeless rhythm of the wild, where strength, instinct, and beauty intertwine in perfect harmony. 26. White-eared pheasant. High in the remote, wind-swept mountains of Tibet, Sichuan, Yunnan, and Bhutan, the white-eared pheasant roams the rugged alpine terrain, embodying the resilience and elegance of life in extreme environments. Found at altitudes ranging from 2,500 to 4,500 meters, 8,200 to 14,800 feet, these birds are well adapted to the cold, often seen foraging in snowy landscapes where few other species dare to venture. Unlike many of its vibrantly colored relatives, the white-eared pheasant is a vision of ethereal simplicity, its pale plumage a stark, yet stunning contrast against the dark rock and evergreen forests of its homeland. Measuring around 86 to 100 centimeters, 34 to 39 inches, in length, it is a large and powerful bird, relying on its strong legs rather than flight to navigate the slopes and cliffs of its high-altitude domain. Despite its muted color palette, the white-eared pheasant exudes a regal beauty. Its body is covered in soft, snow-white feathers, while its face is adorned with a bright red patch of bare skin, giving it an expressive and almost wise appearance. Its distinctive black crown and long flowing tail feathers, tipped in deep charcoal, add a touch of contrast, emphasizing its refined elegance. Unlike the flamboyant courtship displays of other pheasants, this species engages in subtle but affectionate pair bonding, where mates call to each other in soft, resonant tones and engage in synchronized movements, reinforcing their connection before the breeding season begins. These birds are highly social, often forming small flocks that traverse the mountainsides together, braving the elements with quiet grace. When nesting season arrives, the pair becomes more reclusive, moving through the rugged terrain with quiet precision. The female remains well camouflaged against the rocky landscape, while the male stands as a silent sentinel, his striking plumage contrasting against the muted tones of the highlands. They traverse the alpine meadows and forested slopes, foraging among the sparse vegetation, their presence blending seamlessly with the untamed wilderness. As the seasons shift, their resilience is tested by the harsh elements, yet they endure, embodying the spirit of survival in one of the world's most formidable landscapes. Temminck's tragopan, Tragopan temminckii. Hidden within the misty forests and rhododendron-covered slopes of the eastern Himalayas, Myanmar, Tibet, and parts of China, The Temminck's tragopan is a jewel of the montane wilderness. Inhabiting elevations between 2,000 and 4,200 meters, 6,500 to 13,800 feet, this secretive bird thrives in cool, dense woodlands where it remains well camouflaged among thick vegetation. Despite its breathtaking appearance, the Temminck's tragopan is notoriously elusive, spending much of its time foraging on the forest floor, feeding on leaves, berries, and insects. Measuring around 64 to 74 centimeters, 25 to 29 inches, in length, it is a compact yet robust species, built for agility rather than sheer size. Though not as commonly seen as other pheasants, those who catch a glimpse of this spectacular bird are left in awe of its otherworldly beauty. The male Temminck's tragopan is a vision of living fire, its plumage ablaze with deep crimson and brilliant orange, speckled with luminescent white spots that resemble scattered stars on a burning sky. Its most striking features, however, are its inflatable blue facial wattles and horn-like appendages, which remain hidden until the breeding season. When courting a female, the male unfurls these vibrant blue wattles and erects his fleshy horns in a breathtaking display, transforming into a creature of myth and spectacle. Accompanied by a series of low, resonant calls, he moves with slow, deliberate steps, his entire body quivering with anticipation. The performance is nothing short of theatrical, a mesmerizing blend of color, movement, and sound designed to enchant his chosen mate. Once a pair has bonded, they move together through the dense forest, weaving between towering trees and thick undergrowth. The female remains cautious, relying on her natural camouflage to stay hidden, while the male stays close, his vibrant plumage a striking contrast against the shadows of the woodland. They spend their days foraging for seeds, berries, and insects, their movements quiet, yet purposeful. As time passes, the next generation emerges, young birds learning to navigate their rich and complex habitat. With each passing season, the forest echoes with their presence, a testament to the enduring cycle of life in the wild. Blyth's tragopan, Tragopan blythi. In the remote mist-cloaked forests of northeast India, Bhutan, Myanmar, and Tibet, the Blyth's tragopan lives in quiet obscurity, concealed within the dense undergrowth of montane woodlands. Preferring elevations of 1,200 to 3,000 meters, 3,900 to 9,800 feet, it thrives among rhododendron groves and bamboo thickets, where few other creatures dare to tread. Though large for a tragopan, measuring 63 to 74 centimeters, 25 to 29 inches, this bird is rarely seen, favoring the shadows over open spaces. The female, cloaked in earthy brown plumage, remains almost invisible against the forest floor, a master of disguise. The male, however, is a living ember, his crimson-orange feathers adorned with glowing white spots, as if the forest itself had caught fire. During mating season, the Blyth's tragopan sheds its ghostly demeanor and transforms into a creature of hypnotic spectacle. The male inflates his electric blue throat wattle, erects his fleshy, horn-like appendages, and begins a slow, deliberate dance. He bows, sways, and fans his wings, releasing deep, resonant calls that echo through the silent valleys. His performance is both eerie and mesmerizing, a fleeting burst of color and sound in the otherwise muted wilderness. If the female accepts his courtship, she retreats to a well-hidden nesting site, often a tree hollow or thick underbrush, where she lays 2 to 4 eggs. For 28 to 30 days, she remains motionless, relying on her camouflage to evade predators, while the male lingers nearby, a silent sentinel. As the next generation emerges, they step into the heart of the wilderness, guided by instinct and the quiet vigilance of their parents. Moving through the dense undergrowth and dappled forest light, they quickly learn the ways of their world: where to find food, how to evade predators, and when to remain unseen. Over time, their once muted feathers take on the vibrant hues of adulthood, a transformation that signifies their growing strength and independence. Mikado pheasant, Sirmaticus mikado. High in the misty, windswept mountains of Taiwan's central highlands, the Mikado pheasant roams in quiet solitude, a creature of mystery and elegance. Endemic to Taiwan, this rare and elusive species inhabits dense montane forests between 1,800 and 3,200 meters, 5,900 to 10,500 feet, above sea level, where thick fog and towering trees provide it with natural camouflage. Revered as Taiwan's national bird, the Mikado pheasant is both a symbol of the island's untamed wilderness and a living relic of its ancient past. Measuring up to 70 centimeters, 27 inches, in length, with males sporting an impressively long tail, this pheasant moves with stealth and grace, often vanishing into the undergrowth with a mere flicker of its striking plumage. The male Mikado pheasant is a vision of midnight blue and deep indigo, its feathers gleaming like polished obsidian under the dim forest light. Scattered across its dark plumage are bold white streaks along its tail and wings, resembling moonlight piercing through the dense canopy. In contrast, the female is more subdued, her brown speckled feathers offering perfect camouflage against the forest floor. Unlike the flamboyant displays of other pheasants, the Mikado's courtship is a more understated yet mesmerizing performance. The male puffs out his chest, raises his long tail, and moves in slow, deliberate steps while emitting soft, rhythmic calls, a display of quiet confidence rather than extravagance. As the next generation emerges, they step into the wilderness, guided by instinct and the watchful presence of their parents. Moving through dense undergrowth and shifting light, they quickly learn where to forage, how to evade predators, and when to remain still. Their world is one of constant movement and quiet adaptation. As weeks pass, their once muted feathers take on the hues of adulthood, a sign of their growing strength and independence. In time, they will carve their own place in the wild, continuing the timeless legacy of their kind. Edwards pheasant, Lephura edwards. Hidden within the dense, rain-soaked forests of central Vietnam, the Edwards pheasant is a rare and enigmatic species, a bird whose very existence teeters on the edge of myth. Found only in a few isolated pockets of lowland and montane forests, this critically endangered pheasant has become a symbol of both beauty and fragility in Southeast Asia's fast-disappearing wilderness. Once thought to be extinct, it was rediscovered in the late 20th century, yet sightings remain exceedingly rare, measuring 58 to 65 centimeters, 23 to 26 inches in length. This elusive species prefers to stay close to the forest floor, moving silently through the undergrowth where few creatures ever glimpse its mesmerizing plumage. The male Edwards pheasant is a vision of deep, iridescent blue, its feathers shimmering between shades of sapphire and midnight as light catches its form. A stark red facial patch contrasts against its dark plumage, while its short, pure white tail stands out like a final brush stroke of elegance. The female, in contrast, is dressed in muted, earthy browns, a necessity for blending into the dense foliage as she protects her nest. Unlike many pheasants that engage in elaborate courtship dances, the Edwards pheasant relies on subtle movements and low, resonant calls to attract a mate, reinforcing its air of quiet mystique. Swinhoe's pheasant, Lephura swinhoei. Deep within the misty, ancient forests of Taiwan's central mountains, the Swinhoe's pheasant moves like a shadow, slipping silently through the dense undergrowth. Endemic to Taiwan, this striking bird inhabits broadleaf and coniferous forests between 200 and 2,300 meters, 650 to 7,500 feet, in elevation, favoring the solitude of shaded ravines and moss-covered trails. Named after British naturalist Robert Swinhoe, who first described it in the 19th century, this species has become a symbol of Taiwan's wild and untamed beauty. Measuring around 65 to 80 centimeters, 26 to 31 inches in length, it is a bird built for agility, navigating its rugged terrain with swift, graceful movements rather than relying on flight. The male Swinhoe's pheasant is a spectacle of iridescent blues, rich purples and striking white contrasts, a living gem hidden within the green expanse of Taiwan's highlands. Its deep sapphire plumage glows in the dappled sunlight, shifting between shades of midnight blue and metallic violet. A brilliant red facial patch, a pure white back, and long, elegant tail feathers complete its regal appearance. In contrast, the female is earth-toned and speckled, her subdued beauty providing perfect camouflage as she nests in the undergrowth. Unlike the extravagant displays of other pheasants, Swinhoe's pheasant relies on short bursts of movement and low rhythmic calls to court a mate, favoring a more understated yet equally captivating approach to attraction. When the female selects her partner, the pair moves through the dense forest, staying hidden among the thick vegetation. She remains well camouflaged, while the male stays watchful nearby. The young quickly adapt to their surroundings, learning to navigate and forage under their mother's guidance. As they grow, the male's feathers gradually shift to brilliant blues and whites, marking their passage into adulthood. The Swinhoe's pheasant stands as a testament to the wild's enduring beauty, thriving in the depths of its secluded habitat. Elliot's pheasant, Cermaticus ellioti. In the quiet, mist-draped woodlands of southeastern China, the Elliot's pheasant moves with a noble grace, a bird of refined beauty hidden within the dense undergrowth. Found in provinces such as Fujian, Jiangxi, and Hunan, this elusive species thrives in subtropical and evergreen forests at elevations between 200 and 1,900 meters, 650 to 6,200 feet. Named after American ornithologist Daniel Girard Elliot, this pheasant is a symbol of China's rich biodiversity, yet remains difficult to observe due to its shy and secretive nature. Measuring 80 to 90 centimeters, 31 to 35 inches in length, it is a bird of impressive stature, preferring to walk rather than fly, its strong legs carrying it swiftly through the underbrush. The male Elliot's pheasant is a masterpiece of understated elegance, cloaked in a blend of chestnut, ivory, and soft gray feathers. A striking white back patch and wing bars contrast beautifully against its deep russet plumage, while a bold red facial patch adds an unexpected burst of color. Unlike the dazzling displays of other pheasant species, the Elliot's pheasant takes a more restrained approach to courtship. The male performs a subtle yet captivating display, fluffing his plumage, fanning his long tail, and emitting soft, deep calls to attract a mate. The female, dressed in warm mottled brown tones, watches carefully, choosing her partner based on his quiet confidence rather than extravagant gestures. Silver pheasant, Lophura nectamera. Gliding through the misty forests of Southeast Asia, the silver pheasant is a striking vision of contrast, a bird whose bold plumage stands out against the emerald green undergrowth. Native to southern China, Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, and Myanmar, this elegant species thrives in dense montane forests between 300 and 2,100 meters in elevation. Revered in both folklore and art, the silver pheasant is not only a symbol of nobility and good fortune, but also a guardian of ancient woodlands. Measuring 120 to 125 centimeters, 47 to 49 inches in length, with the majority of this length coming from its long, flowing tail, this pheasant moves gracefully through its habitat, relying on speed and agility to evade predators. The male silver pheasant is a living masterpiece, adorned in gleaming white plumage intricately patterned with black vermiculations, creating an effect reminiscent of moonlight filtering through the trees. Its deep blue-black underparts, striking red facial wattles, and elegantly curved white tail feathers make it one of the most regal pheasants in existence. In contrast, the female is clad in earthy brown tones, allowing her to blend seamlessly into the forest floor as she nurtures the next generation. During courtship, the male engages in a graceful yet powerful display, fanning his pristine tail, puffing out his chest, and emitting soft rhythmic calls to woo his chosen mate. Kalij pheasant, Lophura leucomelanos. In the dappled light of Himalayan foothills and dense subtropical forests of South Asia, the Kalij pheasant moves like a whisper, its dark plumage blending seamlessly with the forest floor. Found across India, Nepal, Bhutan, and parts of Myanmar and Pakistan, this adaptable species thrives at elevations ranging from 500 to 3,500 meters, 1,600 to 11,500 feet, preferring the cool shade of thick undergrowth. A bird of quiet resilience, the Kalij pheasant is often seen darting through bamboo thickets and rhododendron groves, relying on its strong legs rather than flight to navigate its rugged terrain. Measuring 63 to 74 centimeters, 25 to 29 inches, in length, this species is agile, swift, and ever watchful, a master of survival in the wild. The male Kalij pheasant is a vision of midnight blues, glossy blacks, and shimmering silvers, its feathers glinting like polished metal under the sunlight. Some subspecies display bold white streaks on their back and wings, while others are darker, almost entirely cloaked in deep charcoal hues. A fiery red facial patch adds a striking contrast, enhancing its intense, alert expression. The female, dressed in mottled brown and buff plumage, is built for stealth, her subdued tones allowing her to vanish into the undergrowth while nesting. During courtship, the male performs a low, deliberate strut, fanning his tail and emitting deep, resonant calls, an understated yet effective display of strength and vitality. After forming a bond, the pair moves silently through the dense undergrowth, blending effortlessly into the shadows of the forest. The female remains cautious, staying close to cover, while the male patrols nearby, ever watchful. Their young quickly adapt to the rugged landscape, learning to forage and navigate the terrain under their mother's guidance. As they grow, young males develop the striking black and silver hues of adulthood, embodying the quiet strength of their kind. The Kalij pheasant is a guardian of the Himalayas, a fleeting presence in the mountain wilderness, thriving in the hidden depths of its untamed home. Green peafowl, Pavo muticus. In the untamed grasslands, dense forests, and river valleys of Southeast Asia, the green peafowl reigns as one of the most striking and regal birds of the region. Found across Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, and Indonesia, this magnificent species thrives in both lowland and highland forests, often near water sources. Unlike its more widely recognized relative, the Indian peafowl, the green peafowl is more elusive and solitary, preferring the quiet seclusion of dense vegetation. Measuring 1.8 to 3 meters, 6 to 10 feet, in length, with males possessing extravagant, iridescent train feathers, it is one of the largest and most breathtaking pheasant species in the world. The male green peafowl is a living masterpiece of color and elegance. Its shimmering plumage glows in hues of metallic green, bronze, and deep sapphire, shifting with the light like liquid jade. Unlike the familiar blue of the Indian peafowl, its crest is tall and spiked, giving it a fierce and regal presence. The long train, adorned with vivid eye spots, ocelli, cascades like flowing silk, making it an unrivaled spectacle in the avian world. The female, though lacking the extravagant train, is no less stunning, her bronze-green feathers providing both beauty and camouflage as she moves through the undergrowth. During courtship, the male performs a mesmerizing display, fanning out his train into a magnificent arc, quivering it ever so slightly to catch the light. He emits deep, resonant calls, his movements exuding power and grace as he attempts to captivate his chosen mate. Once paired, the female selects a well-hidden nesting site on the ground, where she lays 3 to 6 pale eggs and incubates them for 26 to 28 days. Unlike many peafowl species, the green peafowl exhibits strong maternal instincts, with the female fiercely protecting her young from predators. The chicks, covered in soft golden down, are quick learners, staying close to their mother as they grow. Over time, young males develop their radiant emerald plumage, preparing for the day when they too will take their place in the wild. Indian peafowl, Pavo cristatus. Amidst the sun-drenched forests, grasslands, and temple courtyards of India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Pakistan, the Indian peafowl moves with an air of royalty, its iridescent feathers shimmering under the golden light. As the national bird of India, this species is deeply woven into the culture, mythology, and history of the region, symbolizing beauty, immortality, and divine protection. Thriving in both dense jungles and open fields, Indian peafowls are highly adaptable, often seen roaming near villages and palaces where they are revered and protected. The male, or peacock, can reach an impressive length of 2.1 to 2.3 meters, 7 to 7.5 feet, with much of this due to its iconic, extravagant train. The peahen, though less flamboyant, is equally graceful, blending into her surroundings with a more subdued elegance. The male Indian peafowl is a masterpiece of nature, its body cloaked in rich metallic blues and greens, its long iridescent train adorned with hundreds of radiant eyes. Ocelli, an intricate pattern that seems almost celestial. This magnificent display is not just for admiration, it serves a powerful purpose in courtship. When seeking a mate, the peacock performs a mesmerizing ritual, fanning his shimmering train into a grand semicircle, quivering it ever so slightly to catch the light. As the ocelli appear to dance and shift, he emits deep, resonant calls, captivating the peahen with his hypnotic presence. The peahen, though dressed in soft brown and green feathers, is far from dull. Her keen gaze and selective nature ensure that only the most impressive males pass on their lineage. Brown-eared pheasant, Crossoptilon manchuricum. In the remote, windswept forests of northern China, the brown-eared pheasant moves like a whisper through the towering pines and rugged cliffs. Endemic to the mountains of Shaanxi, Hebei, and Inner Mongolia, this rare and elegant bird thrives at elevations between 1,100 and 2,600 meters, 3,600 to 8,500 feet, where it navigates the rocky terrain with ease. Revered in Chinese folklore and conservation efforts, the brown-eared pheasant is a symbol of resilience, having survived in some of the most challenging landscapes of East Asia. Measuring 96 to 100 centimeters, 38 to 39 inches in length, it is a large and powerful pheasant, uniquely adapted to its cold, high-altitude home. Unlike its more colorful relatives, the brown-eared pheasant is a vision of subtle elegance, cloaked in soft chocolate-brown feathers that blend seamlessly with the earthy tones of its environment. Its most distinctive feature is its prominent white ear tufts, which extend gracefully from the sides of its head, giving it an almost mythical appearance. A crimson-red facial patch contrasts sharply against its pale plumage, while its long, flowing white tail adds a touch of grandeur, to its otherwise understated beauty. During the breeding season, the male performs a dignified courtship display, fluffing his feathers and uttering deep, rhythmic calls as he circles the female. His movements slow yet deliberate, an expression of both strength and devotion. Salvadorese pheasant, Lophura inornata. Hidden deep within the dense rainforests of Sumatra, Indonesia, the Salvadorese pheasant is a rare and enigmatic species, a bird that moves like a shadow through the undergrowth. Endemic to the mountainous regions of western Sumatra, this elusive pheasant thrives at elevations between 600 and 2,200 meters, 2,000 to 7,200 feet, preferring the cool, humid embrace of cloud forests and bamboo thickets. Named after Italian ornithologist Tommaso Salvadori, this species remains one of the least studied pheasants in the world, its secretive nature making it a mystery even within its own habitat. Measuring up to 55 centimeters, 22 inches, in length, it is smaller and more compact than many of its flamboyant relatives, yet its presence is no less captivating. The male Salvadorese pheasant is a vision of deep, inky blues and soft charcoal grays, its plumage dark and subtly iridescent, absorbing rather than reflecting the light of the dense jungle. Unlike its more extravagant cousins, it lacks the striking tail patterns or bold markings seen in many pheasants, but its simplicity holds an understated elegance. The red facial skin and piercing gaze add a touch of intensity, hinting at the bird's sharp instincts and elusive temperament. The female, though less conspicuous in earthy brown tones, is just as enigmatic, blending seamlessly into the forest floor where she remains hidden for most of her life. Instead of elaborate courtship displays, the male relies on low guttural calls and quiet persistence, staying close to the female as he subtly asserts his presence. Tibetan eared pheasant, Crossoptilon harmani. High in the vast windswept plateaus and alpine forests of Tibet and western China, the Tibetan eared pheasant roams through the frosted landscape, perfectly adapted to the extreme conditions of its homeland. Found at elevations ranging from 3,000 to 5,000 meters, 9,800 to 16,400 feet, this hardy species braves bitterly cold winters and thin mountain air, thriving where few other birds can. Revered in Tibetan culture, this pheasant is often associated with purity and endurance, reflecting its ability to flourish in some of the most unforgiving terrains on Earth. Measuring 75 to 96 centimeters, 30 to 38 inches in length, it moves with quiet confidence, using its powerful legs to navigate the steep, rocky slopes rather than relying on flight. Unlike its more flamboyant relatives, the Tibetan eared pheasant is a study in understated beauty, draped in soft, snow-white plumage, its body a ghostly silhouette against the icy backdrop of the highlands. Its striking red facial patch adds a vivid contrast, while its long, elegant black tail feathers ripple gracefully as it moves. Its most distinctive feature, however, is the prominent black ear tufts that extend from the sides of its head, giving it an aura of wisdom and mystery. During courtship, the male performs a gentle, rhythmic display, fluffing his feathers and emitting low, resonant calls that echo through the valleys, a sound as haunting as the winds that sweep across the plateau. Bornean crested fireback, Lophura ignita. In the dense, emerald depths of Borneo's tropical rainforests, the Bornean crested fireback moves with an effortless grace, its shimmering plumage flashing like embers in the dim jungle light. Found primarily in lowland forests and swampy wetlands of Borneo, as well as parts of Sumatra and the Malay Peninsula, this striking pheasant thrives in lush, humid habitats where thick vegetation provides both food and shelter. With its secretive nature and preference for staying close to the forest floor, it is often heard before it is seen, its soft, croaking calls echoing through the undergrowth. Measuring up to 70 centimeters, 28 inches in length, it is a medium-sized pheasant, yet its brilliance makes it one of the most visually arresting birds in the rainforest. The male Bornean crested fireback is an explosion of color, its sleek metallic blue-black plumage contrasted by copper-gold feathers along its back, which seem to glow like flames when caught in the light. A tall, wispy crest adds to its regal appearance, while its bare, vivid red facial skin and striking white-tipped tail give it an almost mythical presence. In contrast, the female is more subdued but no less beautiful, dressed in warm chestnut-brown plumage, which provides her with the perfect camouflage as she navigates the forest floor. Unlike some pheasants that rely on grandiose displays, the male engages in a courtship of elegance and movement, circling the female with slow, deliberate steps, fluffing his feathers and softly vocalizing a quiet but confident performance. Hainan hill partridge, Arborophylla ardens. Deep within the lush tropical forests of Hainan Island, China, the Hainan hill partridge moves like a fleeting shadow, its soft calls echoing through the dense undergrowth. Endemic to the island's mountainous woodlands, this elusive bird thrives in moist evergreen forests at elevations between 600 and 1,600 meters, 2,000 to 5,200 feet, where it forages quietly among the leaf litter. Due to its restricted range and the ongoing deforestation of Hainan's natural habitats, this species is classified as endangered, making it one of the island's most precious and vulnerable avian treasures. Measuring up to 30 centimeters, 12 inches, in length, it is a small but resilient species, built for survival in its dense, secluded environment. The Hainan hill partridge is a masterpiece of subtle beauty, its rich chestnut, black and gray plumage providing perfect camouflage against the dappled light of the forest floor. Its most distinctive features include a striking black and white facial pattern, a warm rufous-colored breast, and finely mottled underparts that blend seamlessly with the earth and fallen leaves. Unlike more flamboyant pheasants, this partridge relies on stealth and agility, darting between the shadows rather than engaging in elaborate courtship displays. Instead, its breeding ritual consists of soft, melodious calls, exchanged between mates as they navigate their territory together. Vulturine guinea fowl, Acrylium vulturinum. In the arid grasslands and thorny scrublands of East Africa, the vulturine guinea fowl roams in tight, fast-moving flocks, its piercing gaze and sleek silhouette making it one of the most striking birds of the African savanna. Found in Ethiopia, Somalia, Kenya, and Tanzania, this unique species thrives in hot, dry habitats, where its speed and sharp senses help it evade predators. Unlike its more rounded and compact relatives, the vulturine guinea fowl has a long, slender body, measuring up to 70 centimeters, 28 inches, in length, making it the largest and most elegant member of the guinea fowl family. Known for its highly social nature, it moves in groups of 25 to 50 individuals, a synchronized wave of shimmering blue and black against the golden backdrop of the savanna. The vulturine guinea fowl is a study in contrast, with a bare vulture-like head atop a body draped in sleek, iridescent blue feathers, streaked with black and fine white lines. This combination of bald-headed intensity and graceful plumage gives it an almost prehistoric elegance. Unlike true vultures, however, it is not a scavenger. It feeds on seeds, insects, and small invertebrates, using its powerful legs to scratch at the dry earth. Though capable of short bursts of flight, it prefers to run at high speeds, often outpacing predators rather than taking to the air. During the breeding season, males engage in subtle dominance displays, fluffing their neck feathers and emitting low, guttural calls to attract a mate. Tibetan snowcock, Tetriogallis tibetanus. Perched among the towering peaks and rugged cliffs of the Tibetan Plateau, the Tibetan snowcock is a bird of the extreme, thriving in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Found across Tibet, Nepal, Bhutan, India, and western China, this hardy species inhabits rocky alpine slopes and meadows between 3,600 and 5,500 meters, 11,800 to 18,000 feet, in elevation where oxygen is scarce, temperatures are unforgiving, and the terrain is nothing short of treacherous. Well adapted to these conditions, the Tibetan snowcock is an expert at navigating steep, craggy landscapes where it forages for grasses, seeds, and alpine shoots in the thin mountain air. Measuring 54 to 72 centimeters, 21 to 28 inches in length, it is a robust and powerfully built bird, perfectly suited for life in the high-altitude wilderness. The Tibetan snowcock is a master of mountain camouflage, its grayish-brown plumage streaked with white, black, and buff to blend seamlessly into the rocky terrain. A bold black and white facial pattern gives it a sharp, alert appearance, while its powerful, stocky legs provide the strength needed to navigate steep cliffs with ease. Though mostly silent during the breeding season, its echoing flute-like calls ring across the valleys, a haunting yet beautiful sound that defines the solitude of the Himalayas. Rather than elaborate displays, the male asserts dominance through territorial calls and short, aggressive chases, ensuring only the strongest secure a mate. As nesting season begins in early summer, the female finds refuge in a sheltered crevice or beneath a rocky overhang, ensuring safety from aerial predators. Once the chicks hatch, they quickly adapt to the harsh terrain, navigating the steep slopes with remarkable agility. Under their mother's watchful eye, they learn to forage and evade danger, their instincts sharpening with each passing day. As they mature, young males develop the rugged, weathered appearance of their fathers, preparing for life in the thin, icy air of the Tibetan highlands. Tibetan Monal, Lophophorus louisii. High in the remote windswept slopes of the Tibetan Plateau, the Tibetan Monal roams the alpine wilderness, a rare and majestic presence in one of the most extreme environments on Earth. Found across Tibet, western China, and parts of India, this high-altitude pheasant thrives at elevations between 3,000 and 5,000 meters, 9,800 to 16,400 feet, where it navigates steep cliffs, alpine meadows, and snowy ridges with ease. Closely related to the more famous Himalayan Monal, this species remains far more elusive, rarely seen outside its remote habitat. Measuring up to 75 centimeters, 30 inches, in length, the Tibetan Monal is a powerful and well-adapted survivor of the thin mountain air. The male Tibetan Monal is a vision of iridescent splendor, its metallic plumage shimmering in bronze, green, violet, and deep sapphire hues, a striking contrast against the barren, rocky landscapes it inhabits. Its bold white patch on the lower back, combined with its long, gracefully curved tail, adds to its regal presence. The female, though less flamboyant, possesses a quiet beauty, her mottled brown plumage allowing her to blend seamlessly into the rocky terrain while nesting. During the breeding season, males perform a spectacular courtship display, puffing out their chest, spreading their radiant plumage, and emitting deep, resonant calls that echo across the valleys, a haunting yet mesmerizing sound of the high Himalayas. Once paired, the female seeks refuge in rocky crevices or dense shrubs, staying hidden as she raises the next generation. The chicks hatch alert and agile, instinctively following their mother across the rugged terrain, their small bodies blending seamlessly with the stony ground. As they grow, young males gradually develop their iridescent plumage, a transformation that marks their passage into adulthood. The Tibetan Monal thrives in the harsh mountain wilderness, a symbol of resilience and quiet beauty in its remote alpine home. Himalayan snowcock, Tetragallus himalayensis. In the windswept heights of the Himalayas and Central Asian mountains, the Himalayan snowcock rules the alpine wilderness, perfectly adapted to the extreme conditions of its rugged domain. Found across India, Nepal, Bhutan, Pakistan, Tibet, and western China, this hardy bird inhabits rocky cliffs, alpine meadows, and steep slopes between 3,600 and 5,500 meters, 11,800 to 18,000 feet, in elevation, where few other creatures dare to live. Agile and resilient, it navigates the treacherous terrain with ease, foraging for seeds, grasses, and alpine shoots while remaining ever watchful for predators. Measuring 55 to 74 centimeters, 22 to 29 inches in length, it is a robust and powerful bird, built for survival in the thin, icy air. The Himalayan snowcock is a master of disguise, its grayish-brown plumage streaked with white and black, mirroring the rocky slopes where it roams. A bold black-bordered white throat patch and a distinctive chestnut-colored band across its flanks add to its striking yet camouflaged appearance. Though mostly silent, during the breeding season, its loud whistling calls echo through the valleys, a hauntingly beautiful sound that defines the solitude of the high mountains. Males defend their territories fiercely, engaging in short chases and warning calls rather than elaborate displays, ensuring that only the strongest secure mates. Chukar partridge, Alectoris chukar. Across the rocky hillsides and arid mountains of Eurasia, the chukar partridge thrives in some of the toughest landscapes, a bird of both resilience and charm. Native to the Middle East, Central Asia, and the Indian subcontinent, it has also been introduced to North America and New Zealand, where it has adapted well to dry, rugged terrain. Found at elevations up to 4,000 meters, 13,000 feet, this hardy species prefers steep slopes, rocky outcrops, and scrubland, where it forages for seeds, grasses, and small insects. Measuring 32 to 35 centimeters, 12.5 to 14 inches in length, the chukar is a compact and agile ground dweller, relying on its strong legs rather than flight to navigate its rugged home. The chukar partridge is strikingly beautiful, its warm, sandy gray plumage blending seamlessly with rocky landscapes, while its bold black and white facial mask and red beak and legs add a touch of vibrant contrast. Its flanks are decorated with delicate black and white bars, giving it a distinctive, well-defined appearance. Known for its loud, rolling chuk-chuk-chukar call, this partridge often announces its presence long before it is seen, its laughter-like calls echoing through valleys and cliffsides. During the breeding season, males engage in spirited chases and display calls, asserting dominance over rivals to attract a mate. Mrs. Hume's pheasant, Cermaticus humiae. Deep within the misty forests of northeast India, Myanmar, China, and Thailand, the Mrs. Hume's pheasant moves like a hidden jewel, its rich plumage glinting between the dense foliage. Named after the wife of British naturalist Alan Octavian Hume, this rare and elusive species thrives in evergreen and oak forests at elevations between 1,200 and 3,000 meters, 3,900 to 9,800 feet, where it forages quietly among the undergrowth. Preferring solitude over spectacle, it remains one of the most secretive pheasants in the world, often vanishing into the wilderness before it is fully seen. Measuring up to 90 centimeters, 35 inches in length, with males sporting impressively long tails, this pheasant is a symbol of the untouched highland wilderness. The male Mrs. Hume's pheasant is a vision of understated elegance, its plumage a deep iridescent chestnut red, shimmering in the soft light of the forest. A striking white wing patch contrasts sharply against the darker hues, while its long, barred tail adds to its noble appearance. A small blue facial patch and red bare skin around the eyes give it a piercing, alert expression. The female, in contrast, is cloaked in warm brown tones, perfectly designed to blend into the leaf-littered forest floor. Unlike the dramatic courtship rituals of other pheasants, the male of this species performs a subtle yet dignified display, walking with confidence and emitting soft melodic calls to attract a mate. Rock partridge, Alectoris graeca. Among the rugged cliffs and rocky slopes of the Alps and the Balkans, the rock partridge carves out its existence in some of Europe's most dramatic landscapes. Found in Italy, Greece, Albania, and across the Balkans to western Turkey, this hardy bird thrives at elevations between 1,000 and 3,000 meters, 3,300 to 9,800 feet, favoring steep, open terrain with sparse vegetation. Agile and quick-footed, it navigates rocky outcrops with ease, foraging for seeds, leaves, and small invertebrates. Measuring 32 to 35 centimeters, 12.5 to 14 inches, in length, it is built for mountain life, relying on its strong legs rather than flight to escape predators, often sprinting uphill with remarkable speed. The rock partridge is a vision of earthy elegance, its soft gray-brown plumage allowing it to blend seamlessly into its surroundings. A bold black mask and throat band frame its pale face, while its warm chestnut flanks are streaked with black and white barring, creating a striking yet natural camouflage. Its bright red beak and legs provide a vivid contrast, giving it a lively, alert appearance. Like its cousin, the chukar, the rock partridge is known for its distinctive rolling chuk-chuk-chuk call, which echoes through the mountains, often heard before the bird is seen. During the breeding season, males engage in territorial displays and vocal duels, calling persistently to establish dominance and attract a mate. Once paired, the female carefully selects a hidden spot among dense vegetation or near fallen logs, ensuring safety as she raises the next generation. The chicks hatch agile and independent, instinctively following their mother as they explore the forest floor. Under her guidance, they quickly learn to forage and evade potential threats. As they mature, young males gradually develop the striking plumage of their father, a transformation that signals their readiness for adulthood. The Mrs. Hume's pheasant remains an elusive presence, a quiet symbol of resilience in the remote woodlands it calls home. Pale-headed pheasant, Crossoptilon oridum. Amidst the windswept valleys and dense coniferous forests of northern and central China, the pale-headed pheasant roams in quiet solitude, its pale, almost spectral appearance blending seamlessly with the misty highlands. Also known as the white-eared pheasant, this species is found in Tibet, Sichuan, Yunnan, and Qinghai, thriving at elevations between 2,500 and 4,500 meters, 8,200 to 14,800 feet, where it endures extreme temperatures and rugged terrain. Revered in local folklore and Buddhist culture, this pheasant is often associated with purity, wisdom, and resilience, mirroring its ability to survive in some of the harshest environments in Asia. Measuring up to 96 centimeters, 38 inches in length, it is a large, powerful bird, better suited for running and navigating rocky slopes than for prolonged flight. The pale-headed pheasant is a study in soft contrasts, its creamy white plumage standing out against the dark, mountainous backdrop. A bold red facial patch, striking black crest, and flowing charcoal gray tail feathers add a regal touch to its appearance. Unlike the vivid colors of other pheasants, this species exudes a quiet elegance, its beauty lying in its simplicity. Social by nature, these birds are often found in small flocks, moving through the undergrowth in search of roots, seeds, and small invertebrates. Males engage in low, rhythmic calls and confident postures rather than extravagant displays to attract a mate, reflecting their dignified demeanor. White-cheeked partridge, Arborophila atrogularis. In the shadowy depths of Southeast Asia's dense evergreen forests, the white-cheeked partridge moves unseen. its soft calls blending with the rustling leaves of the undergrowth. Found in northeastern India, Myanmar, Thailand, and Laos, this elusive bird thrives at elevations between 300 and 1,800 meters, 1,000 to 5,900 feet, preferring the solitude of thick jungle foliage where it forages for seeds, insects, and fallen fruits. Though often heard rather than seen, its rhythmic, flute-like calls echo through the forest, marking its presence in an otherwise hidden world. Measuring 26 to 30 centimeters, 10 to 12 inches in length, the white-cheeked partridge is small and compact, perfectly adapted for a life spent on the forest floor. The white-cheeked partridge is a bird of understated beauty, its earthy brown and gray plumage blending seamlessly into the leaf-littered ground. Its most distinctive features are the sharp black throat patch and striking white cheeks, which create a bold contrast against its otherwise muted tones. This facial pattern gives it an alert, inquisitive expression, perfectly suited to its cautious nature. Unlike many of its more flamboyant pheasant relatives, this partridge relies on stealth rather than spectacle, preferring to dart between the undergrowth rather than engage in elaborate displays. Courtship is a quiet affair, with pairs forming strong monogamous bonds, communicating through soft calls and subtle posturing. White pheasant, Lophora hattenhensis. A rare and enigmatic species, it is found primarily in the Annamite mountain range, where it thrives in humid, evergreen forests at elevations between 100 and 600 meters, 330 to 2,000 feet. Believed to be a variant or closely related to Edwards pheasant, Lophora edwardsi, this species remains one of the least studied pheasants in the world, with much of its behavior still shrouded in mystery. Measuring 60 to 65 centimeters, 24 to 26 inches in length, this critically endangered bird is a symbol of Vietnam's fragile biodiversity, struggling against habitat loss and deforestation. The male white pheasant is a vision of striking contrast, its silky white plumage standing out against the deep greens and browns of the forest floor. A bold red facial patch adds an intense, almost piercing expression, while its long, flowing tail feathers give it an aura of quiet elegance. The female, in contrast, is cloaked in warm chestnut and brown hues, allowing her to blend seamlessly into the forest shadows as she protects her nest. Unlike the flamboyant courtship displays of other pheasants, this species engages in a more subtle and intimate ritual, with the male emitting low, resonant calls and gentle movements to attract a mate. The world of galliforms is a testament to nature's artistry, where vibrant colors, quiet strength, and elusive beauty come together in perfect harmony. These birds, thriving in dense forests and rugged highlands, embody resilience in the face of a changing world. Yet, many remain hidden, their survival threatened as their habitats disappear. If you appreciate the wonders of wildlife, don't let the journey end here. Subscribe for more discoveries, leave a like to support conservation, and share your thoughts in the comments. Together, we can celebrate and protect these incredible creatures before they vanish from our world.